Good afternoon. I guess as the former VSO, Veteran Service Officer of Morris County for 13 years, you can call me a Veteran Service Officer Emeritus. Before I begin my remarks, I would like to recognize the freeholders, Administrator John Benani, Jen Carpenteri, my former boss, my retiring friend Ophelia Cruz, Chris Walker and his Buildings and Grounds crew, and the staff of Aging Veterans and Disabilities, Joe Garifo, past Communications Director, and I will say with Mr. Gabbana, as a former prosecutor, he always showed empathy towards our veterans. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Ken Branzel, for our current VSO, for inviting me to speak today. It is truly an honor. A unique group of citizens are here today. They are the veterans that we are honoring this Memorial Day. These veterans are held in high esteem by the general public, the government, and especially by themselves. For the men and women who serve their country in the military, they have experienced the indignities of boot camp, designed to change them from civilians into members of the armed forces. They know they may be required to go to the battlefield anywhere in the world to protect the security or the interests of the United States of America. Upon their discharge from the military, they assumed a new status, one that set them apart from the rest of the citizenry, and one so special that it will probably be written in their obituaries as they live for many decades after separation from the military. They are called veterans. For their sacrifices for the nation, they are entitled to a vast array of programs and benefits, a nationwide network of hospitals and clinics, a competitive edge when it comes to government jobs, financial help when it comes to paying for education and buying of homes, special business loans, and regular monthly pensions. My job, and now Ken's responsibility, is to interpret and understand a wide selection of benefits. In other words, to provide a roadmap to the entitlements due each veterans as they are working with. Congress, the Department of Veteran Affairs, and other government agencies continually make changes to the regulations, and it is our job to keep abreast of these changes. I have enjoyed 3 accomplishments in my life: my college degree, my honorable discharge from the Marine Corps, and my accreditation with the Department of Veteran Affairs. It is the last of which I am most proud. I realize there is a great deal of negative press concerning the VA today. Actually, there are 3 VAs: the Veterans Health Agency, the Veterans Benefit Agency, the Federal Burial Agency. My main thrust was benefits for veterans, and I'm a staunch advocate of this part of the VA. Small miracles can happen on a daily basis. If the right questions are asked of the veterans and their families, things can happen. For example, I had a friend of mine who developed ALS. I was informed by his wife he was a veteran. He had a short time to live, so I expedited a claim, and he was awarded a service connection at 100%, receiving $3,000 a month for the rest of his short life. He was allowed to spend the last days in the VA nursing home, and his property taxes were suspended for the rest of his time and also for his wife's time. The second example would be a widow from Vietnam came to my office to receive a grave marker which the freeholders freely give to the deceased veterans. I asked how he died. He died of prostate cancer, which was declared a presumptive illness as a result of Agent Orange during the Vietnam War. I backdated the application, and the widow received a lump sum of $130,000 and $1,200 a month for the rest of her life. She came in for a grave marker. Annapolis graduate During the Vietnam War, became a deep sea diver. He developed Parkinson's disease as a result of this. We had to convince the VA that this was the reason for his condition. We did research and we proved to the VA that this was the case that he developed as a result of deep sea diving. The VA agreed. The VA says if we can tip the circumstances 51% to the veteran, then we will allow the veteran to receive the benefit. We did that. I always was amazed at how generous the benefits could be if the right documentation and detailed information was submitted. I don't think most of the public is aware of this. It is always important for me to put a face to the claim which would reflect the loyalty of the veteran, whether he or she saw combat or not. Periodically, I would go to the second floor of our building up on the hill, and I would find veterans who were in line for county services. I would encourage them to complete an application to get their discharge papers so that additional compensation might be awarded. I would go to the county jail to see what vets were convicted of crimes, and if I could extend those benefits to their family as a result of them losing those benefits, I would do that. I would also go to Homeless Solutions up on the hill, looking for veterans who may need my assistance. And finally, I would go to homes where veterans who were disabled could not come to my office to do claims. One of the biggest problems I see is the fact that there is no formal training for veteran service officers. This results in lost benefits because of overwhelmed and poorly trained VSOs, claims being incorrectly submitted, insufficient information, and missed deadlines. I recently read a book by Martin Schramm called Veterans Under Siege. He said, and I quote, "We know the fate that awaits the hardware of war when battleships and other weapons become obsolete or irreparably damaged. They are mothballed, shunted aside, abandoned, or ignored. When men or women who fought with this hardware become obsolete and damaged, we as a society dare not assign them to a similar fate," unquote. I enjoyed every aspect of being a veteran service officer. Every November, I created a military display that would be hung in the Morris County Library. I tried to make these displays come alive, depicting very real situations. For instance, one year I told a story via pictures of 3 Morris County boys who were killed in the Iraqi War in 2004. They were Second Lieutenant Robluski, Sergeant Doltz, Corporal Castro. That same year, I hung a photo of a Vietnam veteran who died homeless in Morristown. Another year, with the help of Jan Williams, a volunteer employed by Morris County, we did a huge display of all the veterans of Morris County who were killed in Vietnam. They numbered approximately 60. This is a display that generated the most press in my 13 years. Morris County is proud of its Distinguished Military Commemorative Program. To date, approximately 9,000 medals have been given out. On my watch, a detailed biography was written and read to the public as this award was being given. You will hear shortly the biographies of these recipients. I think most of the veterans I interviewed were pleased to be able to tell their stories, to see them recorded for the record. How different things are today, where we have all volunteer military. Most of our young people today will never know what it's like to be drafted into the service of our country. In closing, I quote William Shakespeare, who wrote the phrase, "Parting is such sweet sorrow." These words certainly sum up my feelings about leaving the job as Morris County Veteran Service Officer in 2016. It has been my honor to serve Morris County veterans. Thank you very much.